Firstly, the Minister for Justice, Equality and Defence, Alan Shattock TD, will give a short speech. Then, the presiding officer will take your declaration of fidelity to the Irish nation and loyalty to the state. To conclude the ceremony, the Minister will make some closing remarks. We will have a short presentation and then we will have a rendition of the national anthem. I will now ask you to please turn off your mobile phones, and guests, please remain in your seats for the duration of the ceremony. I hope you all thoroughly enjoy the morning. So could you all please stand as the national colours are now being brought on parade. Please remain standing for the entrance of the Minister for Justice, Equality and Defence, Alan Shattock TD, and the presiding officer, retired Judge Catherine McGuinness. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I present the Minister for Justice, Equality and Defence, Alan Shattock TD.
Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome to yet another citizenship ceremony. As both participants and guests, I'm delighted to see all of you here on what I know is a very special occasion for each of you who are going to become citizens today. I know the granting of Irish citizenship to so many of you who've come to our country from a foreign land is a very major event in your life. It's a time of celebration, a rite of passage, and a moment for all of you to truly value and cherish. It's also a solemn event for this state to grant citizenship. It's particularly fitting, I think, that this citizenship ceremony is taking place this morning in this wonderful convention centre with its iconic architecture. I think this appropriately reflects the importance of this morning's occasion for each of you as our newest citizens, and for us as the host nation in bestowing citizenship on you. As Minister for Justice and Equality, I have the obligation and duty of deciding who should be awarded the privilege of Irish citizenship. In doing so, I have to carefully apply the citizenship laws enacted by our Parliament and consider the individual circumstances of each person who seeks Irish citizenship. It's a duty I take very seriously, as I'm acting on behalf of all Irish people in deciding who should become an Irish citizen. Careful consideration is given to each application received, and it's right that the granting of citizenship, I believe, is marked by a real sense of occasion that serves to underline its importance to you, the person receiving it, and to us who, on behalf of the people of Ireland, grant citizenship to you. You have come to our country and have chosen to live among us. Some of you have been waiting a long time for this day to arrive. Today we welcome you to our nation as its newest citizens, and we hope that you will continue to contribute to our communities, to our neighbourhood, and to our society, which are your communities, your neighbourhood, and your society. As a people, we've been enriched by your presence, and in making you citizens of our ancient and proud land, we're acknowledging the value of the contribution you have already made by your presence on this island. Our ceremony today is greatly enhanced by the presence of Catherine McGuinness. Catherine had an extraordinary judicial career. She's a retired judge of our Circuit Court, High Court, and ultimately the Supreme Court. She's a former president of the Law Reform Commission and a patron of the Irish Refugee Council. Catherine's presence, I believe, lends great dignity to the proceedings in her role as presiding officer, and her presence signifies in a very public way the importance and solemnity of the occasion. I want to thank you most sincerely, Catherine, for taking on this task for us today, for your presence with us, and I'd ask you all to give Catherine a vigorous round of applause. As you came in this morning, you would have heard the wonderful music of the No. 1 Army Band. We have within our Defence Forces extraordinary talented musicians. The No. 1 Army Band is conducted by Captain Fergal Carroll, and I'm going to ask you to give the band a round of applause to thank them for their contribution so far. The great advantage of being both Minister for Justice and Minister for Defence is that we can bring what is available in the two great departments of which I'm a minister to participate in these ceremonies. As well as having the Army Band, we have the colour party under the command of Captain Gillian Martin, who walked in onto stage with the Irish flag, the tricolour, the flag that is about to be your flag. Please give them a round of applause. I also want to thank the staff of my own department, in particular the staff of the Citizenship section in Tipperary, who have been instrumental in organising today's programme of ceremonies, and why not give them a round of applause as well. I mentioned earlier the length of time. Many of you here today would have waited for your citizenship application to be processed. But many of you will have waited not quite as long as was the case when we first came into government in 2011. When the government came into office some 26 months ago, on the 9th of March 2011, there was an enormous backlog, approximately 22,000 citizenship applications awaiting decision. Approximately 17,000 of these had been waiting in a barely moving queue for in excess of 6 months. But there was an average waiting time of in excess of 2 years. Indeed, some people had waited 3 to 4 years to have their application dealt with. Having made decisions on almost 53,000 applications in the just over 2 years since I took office, including over 15,000 so far this year, I think I can safely say that the steps that we initiated within my department to deal with the backlog of citizenship applications have been a huge success, and they're partly the reason why all of you are with us this morning. This ceremony, along with 2 others taking place here today, together with the 66 other ceremonies which have taken place since we introduced this universally welcomed initiative in June 2011, is a major celebratory event in the citizenship process. Citizenship ceremonies have also been pivotal in addressing the backlog that had occurred. Had we not put them in place, our district courts, where you would have been in the past required to make the declaration or the oath you're going to take today, would have been overwhelmed by the sheer volume of applicants. This, of course, would also have meant that you'd have to endure further delays before becoming an Irish citizen. It was on the 24th of June 2011, almost 2 years ago, that the first citizenship ceremony ever held in this state took place in the Dublin Castle Convention Centre. On that day, we welcomed 73 new citizens to our national family. Today, in this state-of-the-art venue, we will be welcoming 2,700 new citizens to our national family. I'm conscious all of you here who are about to become Irish citizens have brought guests and friends with you. And I think your presence here today deserves a big round of applause from those who have accompanied you to this fantastic ceremony. The most visible sign of your becoming an Irish citizen today is a formal legal document, your Certificate of Naturalisation. I've no doubt it will take pride of place in many of your homes. The certificate is, of course, hugely valued by each of you individually, but in a wider sense, it portrays in a simple but powerful way the unprecedented changes in the demography or population of this state. The most recent census shows that 12% of our national population, or some 544,000 people, are representative of 199 other countries across the globe. Our small island home at the western edge of Europe, facing into the Atlantic Ocean, has truly become a country of many cultures, inclusive and diverse to the benefit of us all. This ceremony on the award of citizenship marks in a very public way one of the very potent and powerful manifestations of our independence as a nation. The history of this state is now